Section 19 of The Golem by Gustav Meyrink. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. End. Like a lump of fat. That is the stone that looks like a lump of fat. The words are shrilling in my ears still. Then I sit up and force myself to realize where I am. I am in bed. I am staying in a hotel. My name is not Pernoth at all. Has it all been just a dream? No, dreams are not like that. I look at the clock. I've scarcely been asleep half an hour. It is 2:30. And there hangs the hat which is not mine, which I took by mistake in the cathedral today, when I attended High Mass. It had been next to me in the pew I sat in. Was there a name inside? I picked it up and read in golden letters on the white silk lining, the name which is not my name, and yet so oddly familiar by now. Athanasius Pernath. There is no question of rest for me any more now. I dress rapidly and run downstairs. "Porter, unlock the door. I'm going out for an hour." "Out, sir?" "Yes, into the Jewish quarter, Hanpassgasse. There's a street of that name, isn't there?" "There is a street." The porter smiles disagreeably. "But it's not the Jewish quarter any more now, sir, in a manner of speaking. It's all been rebuilt long ago." "Never mind. Where is the Hanpassgasse?" "Just here, sir." The fat thumb of the porter points it out to me on the map. "And the cafe? Loisitchek's?" "Just here, sir." "Give me a large sheet of brown paper, will you?" "Very good, sir." In it, I wrap up Pernoth's hat. Strange how fragile it seems to be, for all it is brand new from the look of it, and spotlessly clean. I ponder and ponder as I go on my way. Obviously, I had experienced, within my dream, everything that Athanasius Pernoth had lived through. Everything have I witnessed, heard, and felt, within the space of one night, as though I had been he. But then why, in that one brief moment, when the cord broke, and he had called out, "Hillel, Hillel," why did I not know now what it was he had seen behind that barred window? I realized that must have been the moment in which he and I were separated. Come what come may, I must find this Athanasius Pernoth, if I have to search for 3 days and 3 nights on end without stopping. So that's the Hanpassgasse. Never for one instant had I seen it like that in my dreams. Just a lot of new-built houses. A moment later I am seated in the Café Loisitchek, a quiet, fairly clean little place it seems to be. There is, as a matter of fact, a kind of estrade up at the back, with a wooden railing in front, and a certain resemblance to the old Loisitcheks of my dreams is not to be denied. "What can I get you, sir?" A buxom waitress comes and asks me. She seems literally bursting out of her hot red velvet frock. "1 cognac, please." "Thanks. Please, Fräulein." "Sir?" "Whom does this cafe belong to?" "To Herr Loisitchek, of course. The whole house belongs to him. He's a very well-to-do gentleman." "Ah, I remember. The individual with the boar's teeth upon his watch-chain. I remember perfectly. I have a brainwave. Surely I shall get on to it now. Fräulein." "Sir?" "When was it the stone bridge broke down?" 33 years ago. "Oh, 33 years ago." I ruminate. In that case, my friend Pernoth must be getting on for 90 now. "Fräulein?" "Please?" "Isn't there anybody here amongst your regular customers who can remember how it was the old Jewish quarter used to look? I am an author and interested in things of that sort." She thinks a moment. "Any of our customers? No. At least, there's that old billiard marker playing billiards over there with the young student. The old fellow with the hooky nose, see him? He's always lived here, and would be able to tell you all about it. I don't think they're really playing. Shall I fetch him to you, sir?" Over there, by the mirror, a thin, white-haired old man is chalking the end of his cue. An emaciated face, but somehow very appealing. What is it he reminds me of? "What's the marker's name, Fräulein?" The waitress is now leaning both her elbows on the table, and, licking the end of her pencil, rapidly writes her name over and over again on the china plate, rubbing it out each time as quickly with her finger. The gesture is accompanied by a series of glances in my direction of varying degrees of suggestiveness according to the reception they meet, And of course she does not omit to arch her eyebrows the while, or do anything else to accentuate the magic of her appeal. "What is the marker's name, Fraulein?" I ask again. I know quite well as I look at her how much she would prefer another question. "Fraulein, why haven't you on nothing but a swallowtail coat?" or words to that effect. But I don't put it. I am far too taken up with my dream. "Called?" she pouts. "Oh, called. Why, he's very Athenstadt." "Indeed, very Athenstadt. Ah, then he's an old acquaintance." "Go on telling, my dear," I wheedled her, for all I have to fortify myself first with another cognac. "It's good to hear the sound of that pretty little voice of yours. Lord, how I do detest myself at this moment." She stoops down unnecessarily close to me, so that her hair tickles my face as she whispers, "Old Fairy was no end of a toff in the old days. Some do say he had noble blood in his veins, but that's all a yarn, probably, 'cause he always goes about clean-shaven. But he was rich, oh, ever so. There was a red-haired little Jewess. Oh, she wasn't half a hot little piece, she wasn't, from her childhood up, if all the sayings are true." Again she writes her name on the plate a couple of times, "and she fairly got hold of him, she did. He was free with his money, that he does seem to have been. But, of course, so soon as he'd spent it all, off she went, and married, if you please, some fine gentleman or other. He was called—" Here she whispers some name into my ear that I can't hear properly. "And the fine gentleman, of course, had to take a step down in the world, so soon as he'd got Missy for a wife. What do you think? But what she had been in her young days, if all the tales be true, I tell you." "Fritzy! Bill! There!" somebody called down from the estrade. Left alone, my gaze roams all around the cafe, when suddenly I hear behind me a tiny metallic sound, like the chirping of a grasshopper. I turn round inquiringly. It is all I can do to believe my eyes. There is old Shafranek sitting in the corner, actually old, blind, hoary-headed Naphtali Shafranek, aged as Methuselah, sitting shrunken to himself, face to the wall, and in his trembling, aged skeleton hand fingering a snuff-box about the size of a small cigarette case. I go up to him. Immediately he gets hot and bothered and begins singing to himself, a medley of all the songs he's ever learned. "Frau Pick, Frau Huck, Unruck Blastern, De Schmussen allerhand, von Missenung on Roschel und Ron." "Waiter, can you tell me the name of this old man?" I ask a waiter who is scurrying by. "No, sir. Nobody here knows his name any more. He's forgotten it himself. He's all alone in the world. He's 110 years old, sir, so they say. Comes in every evening, and we give him a cup of coffee." I bend down over the old creature and call a word into his ear. "Shafranek!" It goes through him like a stroke of lightning. He murmurs something and rubs his hand over his forehead, as if trying to think. "Do you understand me, Herr Shafranek?" He nods. "Try hard and listen. I want to ask you something about old days. If you can tell me what I want to know, I shall give you that golden on the table there." "Golden," the old man repeats parrot-wise, and then begins twirling round on the table like a mad thing his snuff-box with the squeaky lid. I take his hand and hold it fast. "Try and think a moment. Did you ever hear 33 years ago of a precious stone-cutter called Pernath?" "Hodder bullets, breeches maker," he wheezes asthmatically, and then laughs all over his face under the impression I've told him something extraordinarily funny. "No, not Hodder bullets. Pernath." "Perillus?" he literally shouts with glee. "No, not Perillus. Pernath." "Bacillus!" he crows with delight. In bitter disappointment, I give it up. "You want to speak with me, sir?" Fairy Athenstadt, the billiard marker, is confronting me with a distant bow. "Yes, that's right. I thought we might have a game, perhaps." "100 up, sir. Give you 90 handicap, if it's agreeable. For money, sir." "Done. For a golden. You begin, if you like, marker." His Highness takes the cue, aims, muffs it, and pulls a face. I know perfectly well what he is doing, letting me get up to 99, then running out in one break. But more and more is my curiosity at boiling point. I go straight to the point now. "Tell me, marker, do you happen to remember a long time ago, somewhere about the time the old stone bridge collapsed, probably, a certain Athanasius Pernath, who lived in the Jewish quarter as it stood then. A man in a red and white striped linen jacket with squinting eyes and small golden earrings, sitting on a chair against the wall and reading a newspaper, stares at me and crosses himself. Pernath. Pernath, the marker repeats and racks his brains to try and think. Pernath. Tall and thin, wasn't he? Brown hair, pepper and salt beard, cut pointed. Yes, that's right. About 40 years old at that time. Looked like... Suddenly His Highness stops and gazes at me in amazement. Are you related to him, may I ask, sir? The man with a squint crosses himself again. I? A relative? Good gracious, no. Only I happen to be interested in him. Is there anything else you know? I ask nonchalantly, for all my heart feels like a lump of ice. Fairy Athenstad once more puts on his thinking cap. If I'm not mistaken, folk at the time used to call him mad. He used to say... I believe he used to say, sometimes, his name was Laponder, and at other times he had given himself out for a certain Charusek. It's all a pack of lies, breaks in the man with a squint. Charusek was a real live soul, all right. My father came into 1,000 florins through him. Who is this man? I asked the marker softly. He's the ferryman, and his name's Shamrda. All I seem to remember about Pernath is that, later on in life, he married a very beautiful dusky Jewess. At least, I think he did. Miriam, I tell myself, and am so overcome with emotion I boss my shot again through my foolish trembling hands. Once again the squint-eyed man crosses himself. What's the matter with you, Herr Shamrda? Asks the marker in astonishment. Pernath never did live, shouts the squint-eyed in a frenzy at us. Don't you tell me. I at once make the man take a cognac with me to get him talking. There's folk around here, declared the ferryman at length. Says Pernath's living here still, that he's a precious stone cutter and lives up at the Hrodschen. Where, on the Hrodschen? Once more the ferryman crosses himself. That's where you're asking. He lives where no mother's son could live, at Last Lamp House. Do you know the house, then, Herr Shamrda? I wouldn't go up there for all the money on God's earth, protests he. What do you take me for? Jesus, Joseph, and Holy Mary. But you could show me the way to it, I suppose, Herr Shamrda. Suppose I could, growls the ferryman. If so be as you like to wait till 6 in the morning, when I go down the Moldau, but I warn you, you'll have no luck. Like as not, you'll fall over into Hirschgraben and break your neck, to say nothing of your legs. Holy Mother of God. We walk together through the early morning air. A fresh wind is blowing up from the river. So full of expectation am I can hardly feel the ground beneath my feet. Suddenly I am confronted by the house in the Altschulgasse. I recognize the window at once. The bent guttering, the iron bars, the stone sill, slippery like a lump of fat. When was this house burnt down? I ask the squint-eyed. There is a dull buzzing in my ears as I wait for the reply. Burnt down! Go on! But it was burned, I know it was. It never was. But it was, will you bet me? How much? A gulden. Done. And Shamrda proceeds to knock up the owner. Has this house ever been burnt down? Burnt down? The man laughs. Can I believe it? Yes and no. I've lived in this house come 70 years, the man informs us. I should know, shouldn't I? Strange, strange, strange. With grotesque, jerky movements, the ferryman rows me over the Moldau in his little boat, consisting of 8 rough, unplaned boards. The yellow water foams up against its timber sides. The roofs of the Hrodschen gleam red in the morning sun. My soul seems possessed with a strange feeling of solemnity. A faint, indefinable feeling rises up within me as of something proceeding from another life than this. Some previous enchanted existence. The whole world, in fact, seems enchanted, seen through a haze of dreamy recognition, as though I had lived already at many times, and in many places simultaneously. I get out of the boat. How much, Herr Shamrda? 1 cruiser, sir, please. If you'd wanted to help yourself with the rowing, 'twould have been 2. Once again I tread the same road I'd trodden in my last night's dream, and climb the same lonely steps that lead towards the castle. My heart beats rapidly. I know beforehand I shall see the stark trees whose boughs spread over the wall. But no, it is strewn with white blossom. The air is full of the sweet scent of lilac. Beneath me is spread the town in the early morning light, like a vision of the promised land. No sound, nothing but sweetness and light. With my eyes shut, I could have found my way through the quaint old street of the alchemists, so familiar has every inch of it suddenly become to me. But instead of the little wooden lattice gate that had formerly led up to the glimmering white house, another one now stands, a magnificent affair, all in lines of curving gold shutting off the entrance to the street. 2 somber yew trees rise up from a shrubbery, and stand as sentinels on either hand of the entrance door to the garden wall, directly behind the lattice gate. I stand on tiptoe trying to see over the bushes, and am immediately dazzled by fresh splendor. The garden wall is all covered with decoration and mosaic of a beautiful Turkish blue background, set with gold, highly stylized frescoes depicting the Egyptian cult of the god Osiris. It is a double door, and the wings of it form those of the god himself, a hermaphrodite in 2 halves, the right female, the left male. The figure is seated on a flat, radiant throne of mother of pearl, in semi-relief, and its golden head is in the form of a hare. The ears of it stand up high and close together, giving the semblance of 2 pages of an open book. The atmosphere is filled with the freshness of dew, and the fragrance of hyacinths is wafted over the wall. I stand there like a stone for a long time, staring. It is like the entrance to an unknown world. An old gardener, or servant of some sort, with a ruffle round his neck, silver buckles on his shoes, and a coat of most curious cut, now appears from the left-hand side behind the golden gate, and asks me through the bars what it is I want. Without a word, I hold out to him the hat of Athanasius Pernath, wrapped up in brown paper. He takes it and goes through the folding doors. As they open, I catch a glimpse behind of a marble house, with all the aspect of a temple, on the steps of which is standing Athanasius Pernath, and leaning up against him, Miriam. They are both gazing down at the town below them. Just for an instant Miriam turns in my direction, sees me, smiles, and whispers something to Athanasius Pernath. Her beauty holds me spellbound. She is so young, just as I had seen her in my dreams of yesternight. Athanasius Pernath turns slowly towards me, and my heart stops beating. So like is he to myself, it is as though beholding my own face and figure in the glass. Then the folding doors are closed once more, and all I can see is the gleaming hermaphrodite. The old servant hands me my hat, saying, and his voice sounds to me as though proceeding from the bowels of the earth, "Herr Athanasius Pernath's compliments and thanks, and he hopes you will not think him inhospitable not to invite you into the garden, but for many a day it has been against the rules of the house. He also wishes me to say he has not worn your hat, having immediately discovered a mistake has been made. He only hopes his hat may not have given you a headache." End of section 19, and end of The Golem by Gustav Meyrink, translated by Madge Pemberton, and read by Ben Tucker.